What's going on, y'all? We are back again. Some of y'all probably didn't even know, but I review the Real Housewives. If it ain't the Real Housewives of Atlanta, I review Real Housewives of New Jersey. Those two are like my favorite out the whole series, well, the franchise of the Real Housewives. And I've been down with Real Housewives of New Jersey since the beginning in Atlanta. So, um, this is season 7. And I'm like, damn, I forgot. I didn't know it was that freaking long. I said, okay, it makes sense because Adriana, Teresa's youngest, she gave birth to her on the show during season 2. And I was like, okay, so that makes sense. But anyway, let's get into this video. Okay. So, it's just been a whole bunch of bullshit that's going on. We're not gonna get into that. And I just hope everybody somehow had a good weekend. Somehow, and I'm just gonna put that out there. But Real Housewives of Atlanta, wrong one, New Jersey, Jingle Bells and Prison Cells. I said, listen to this title. So we got 3 new people back. Well, a return of an old one and 2 new people. The 2 new people are Dolores and Siggy. Siggy, she's Jewish. She was born in a bomb shelter in Israel, and she became friends with Jacqueline for the past couple of years or so. And I think I'm gonna like Siggy. Siggy came up in there with the bitch. I just had a facelift, okay? Half my face, my side is just paralyzed. Give me this soup, and I need a straw, okay? when she told the when she told the waiter that, he started laughing. I would have started laughing too. He tried to hold it in, but he couldn't help it. And then we have Dolores. Dolores actually knew Jacqueline and Teresa years and years ago. And Dolores actually looked like, because they put up an old picture of Dolores, Dina, and Teresa and them together, and Jacqueline. And Dolores looked like she related to Dina. So I was like, damn, okay, maybe I missed something. But basically, they're back on the show, and this is basically, since Teresa is no longer really her good girlfriend or anything like that, they're not really friends or whatever, I guess she's gonna show us that they're the 3 musketeers now or whatever. And it irks me because I just know, like, I used to like Jacqueline in the beginning. I used to like Jacqueline from season 1, like when Teresa and her was cool and all that shit, because they were actually cool and I liked their relationship. I liked their friendship and all that stuff. But something switched, something flipped. I don't know. I think it was after, Jacqueline had a baby and she was going through her stuff with the fact that the little baby has autism, and, once again, I'm sorry, Jacqueline cried like in the first 2 minutes of the episode. No shade, but she cried in the first 2 minutes of the episode. It's understandable because, dealing with a child with special needs, and then you seeing the accomplishments that they're going through when you never really thought that they would, and it was a sad thing, but it was a joyous thing at the same time to see that, her little baby is talking a little bit more and he can, function a little bit better and stuff like that. But basically, they're going through some hard times, financial times, because, Chris, the husband, he went through leaving whatever business that he had prior and investing in another one, that Blackwater stuff. Child, I haven't heard anything about that. Okay, anything about that. I thought he was about to say that act fell through too. But he was like, when you invest in stuff and you start a new business, you have to wait until it builds up and builds up. And, that takes time. I was like, okay, so basically they're about to downsize. They're about to throw this big Christmas party, because I have everybody there, because it's probably the last time that everyone is going to have a party at their house before they leave. And Ashley is back. She came back from California. She's been back for a year and a half, staying there to save her some money. She's back on her shit. She got her job, and she got a little boyfriend, and she's behaving, and she's grown up. All right. And she didn't stay for the party. She went down to Texas to her dad's and stuff like that with her boyfriend. That was cute. So, the whole situation with Teresa, well, I'm not going to get there yet. Who else? Joe Gorga. Melissa then got her new, she opened up a new boutique and basically trying to say that she's doing it with her own money. But you're paying your husband. I don't know if y'all got joint bank accounts because that's basically that's money going back into the family. But hey, you got to do what you got to do. And I would hire my husband or whoever the fuck family, somebody who I can get a discount on it. Yes, you a contractor, you do good work. Come do this for me. Okay, yes, I'll pay you, but do good work. And so that's what she doing. Joe is doing it just to oblige her because he trying to make his wife happy, but he very old fashioned, and y'all know he don't want her to work. He just want her to be a sex object. Cook him some dinner, cook him food, and take care of the kids and fuck him whenever he like. That's how Joe Gorga is. Um, but Melissa said, bitch, I'm out these bitches. I gotta come out here and I gotta do what I gotta do. Okay? I'm not gonna be stayed up in the house all this time. I'm finna come out here and I'm finna do my shit. Okay? You out here doing your shit. Let me do my shit. But after that, there's a lot of stuff going on with Joe at the house with the girls. Joe Giudice. And is it Giudice or Judice? I like both. For some reason, I like Giudice more because it sounds more, like we in Italy or something like that. I'm pretty sure I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. But basically, he's getting prepared because when the show first started, it started 2 weeks before Teresa gets out. And he's getting prepared, getting the kids ready, all this stuff. And then, each commercial break, he comes back off. It's like 2 days later or, a day before. And basically all these hoops they got to jump through and get permission and stuff for Teresa to come out because basically when she gets out of jail, she's going to be on probation for another 6 weeks. I think that's what they said. Or, have the house arrest monitor on for 6 weeks or whatever. And then once that 6 week is over with, they can take it off and she can be free to, go around, I guess, the state of New Jersey without being monitored, but she can't leave the state. They had to get permission to see if she was able to go to Joe and Melissa's house for New Year's Eve, or was it? No, Christmas Eve. Was it Christmas Eve? One of them. I think it was Christmas Eve. But they was waiting on that. And Melissa, she was in her feelings just a little bit. Not necessarily in her feelings, but she just didn't know where she stood with with Teresa because y'all know their history. I'm going to be quite honest. I was not here for when the family, when they brought them on, Joe and Melissa, as permanent fixtures on the show like that. I was like, because the show just became so much more about their family drama than anything else. Because when Melissa and Joe came on, then all of a sudden Kathy comes on with her issues with Teresa. And I was like, damn, can we get some other people? Like, I want to see other people's lives. I don't want everybody to be so intertangled in this family drama. Like, I want to see somebody else family drama and stuff like that. I know I'm trash, but we all at the same thing. But, Melissa kind of grew on me a little bit. And I actually started liking her a little bit more because it does seem like she's trying just a bit. And I do feel like this time they actually going to get back on track and, try to develop the friendship and a relationship and a sisterhoodship that they had before, all this bullshit happened when the cameras came in. Probably was going on before the cameras came in. But, when the cameras come in and social media and all that stuff, it just heightens up whatever problem that you had and make it much more harder to, fix and stuff like that. So her thing is, she don't know how she's going to react or what's going to happen when Teresa gets out of jail because Teresa didn't even put her on her, visiting list or call list. I remember seeing that on a little special that they did when Teresa went to jail. I think earlier this year they did it. But I was like, damn, Teresa, even in the jail, you can't even just let her come and see. You said, fuck this shit. I'm not finna see nobody that's gonna give me some stress. I was like, all right, well, you gotta do what you gotta do. And I'm glad that Melissa didn't really, she kind of made it, she felt some type of way, but she didn't make it such a big deal like, oh, that's bogus as hell and, that's fucked up. No, she was like, well, that's what she want. That's what she want. She has her reason and that's how it's going to be. And I said, that's how you fucking handle it, okay? That's what she need to do. That's what she need to do, all right? But she did send her a letter through her attorney saying that, because they were trying to see if she can come over for the party. And she got approved for it. and they said that they was just waiting to see if hopefully she would want to come over. And she sent the letter and basically said, they'd bring the sprinkle cookies and all that stuff, and that she'd be over there. The little joke, And they showed the flashback scene of when Teresa was saying that Melissa had brought some sprinkle cookies over there to a party that they had, and she threw them in the garbage and all that shit. And it was cute. It was cute. She tried to make it funny, and Melissa got it. She wasn't offended, and everybody was happy. Now move on back over to Jacqueline. Jacqueline gets a note also. Mind you, Jacqueline hasn't heard from Teresa either. They went to Arizona. Remember last season they went to Arizona. They thought things was gonna get back together and be okay again, but it never really worked out that way. And it's just that for me, Jacqueline did a little bit too much, and I understand why Teresa kind of backed off from her, because Jacqueline, I used to like Jacqueline. Jacqueline just did too much. She was just all into the rumors and stuff, and just spreading it here, spreading it there, and instead of just coming to Teresa straight up, she was getting her information from everybody else and believing it before she asked Teresa what is the truth. And then once Teresa told her what was going on, she should have just dropped it. But she don't drop stuff. That's what's going on, and that's what's irritating about Jacqueline. She gets stuff and she just keeps going and going and going and make it bigger and bigger and bigger. She turns a little situation into a big thing. She focuses on it and fixates on it. And I'm like, Jacqueline, do you need to be checked and see if you got something going on up there? I don't know. But or maybe it's just Teresa that brings that side out in her, because she also, like I said, haven't heard from her since she was in jail. And then all of a sudden she gets a letter from her, and it irked me the way that she's trying to read it in her voice. And I said, the girl is basically putting out an olive branch, whether she's trying to do it sincerely or not. That's to be determined, but she's putting out an olive branch. She's reaching out when she don't have to, and you questioning it. And you're trying to act so I don't know what I feel about this, and I don't know what her angle is, and I don't know if I want to get involved. I don't know. Girl, you want that friendship. Last year or the year before that, one of them seasons, Jacqueline couldn't keep Teresa's name out her mouth for shit, bitch. She couldn't keep her name out her mouth, and I was just like, damn, girl, you want that friendship back. I don't see nothing wrong with them trying to give it a go one more time. All right, putting everything down on the table. But as we saw in the preview, Jacqueline gonna fuck that shit up. I don't know who really fucked it up, but all we saw was Jacqueline was going at Melissa. Teresa said, oh no, you don't stand up and you don't holler at nobody like that. You don't point at nobody like that. I said, come on, Teresa, you better defend your sister-in-law. Come on. And what else is going on? Jacqueline just snapped in this season. I'm sitting here like, oh Lord, Hurricane Jacqueline, here we go again. And they had the little Christmas party, the Christmas party at their house, and everyone comes over, and of course they're discussing Teresa, and they was discussing her character and stuff, and how she was the girl next door that never did anything wrong. She never even got a parking ticket. She did curfew and all this stuff, and then all of a sudden she's going to jail. And it was just like, I know I hate when people discuss other people when they're not there, but that's life, and that's just how gossip goes and shit like that. That's what people do. They gossip. So, I knew that was going to happen. And after that, you got Jacqueline talking to Melissa about Teresa and why she sent her the letter. And, Melissa is saying, she sent me one too, and I'm going to take it in stride, and it is what it is. And Jacqueline trying to throw all this doubt out there, I really want to know what it is that she want and all this stuff, and I just don't know. And I'm just sitting here like, Jacqueline, prison changes people sometimes, especially the ones that ain't never been in there, and people like Melissa, Teresa, whatever. It could possibly have changed her, and that's the reason why she want to come out and start stuff anew and put aside the bullshit and try to be and hold the people that she found dear to her heart, closer to her, whatever, who, reestablish old broken relationships and salvage whatever was broken and all that stuff. I'm just sitting here like, Jacqueline, you are not, you're just doing a lot already. Jacqueline is rubbing me the wrong way already. And so we get back to the day when Teresa was going to go. They was talking to the attorney, and he was, trying to tell them exactly what was going on. and basically he had to go drive to Connecticut to get her, and then after that drive to Connecticut, they'll be back. Joe was like, watch out for the paparazzi. They already lined it up. I could not be a celebrity. See, this is why I've always said I would rather want to work. If I was to be in the entertainment field, it would have to be behind the scene. I don't want to be the face of this or the face of that, because I don't have time for I see what these celebrities go through. Like, they don't have privacy. That's something that they gave up. When you want to become a celebrity, you have to give up your privacy. And that's unfortunate, okay? These paparazzi, they don't care. They don't care. They were stalked. They were literally just set up outside their house. I'm sitting here like, that is fucked up. That is fucked up. And then, they was at the jail and all that stuff. She had to hide in the back seat, and that's messed up. But hey, that's what happens when you're a public figure, and everything got made national news and stuff like that. And so, they got the chance to FaceTime her, and little Jill was trying to act like she was excited. Them kids, Melania's still a little badass. Look, all them kids. Let me tell you something. Teresa got some strong ass genes. Only one girl don't look like her all the way, and that's Gabriella. She either look like somebody down the line in her Teresa line, like a grandmother or something like that, or she look like somebody on Joe line, because she don't look like Teresa, but she's very cute. And all the other girls, they got Teresa eyes and all that stuff, and mouth. Let me tell you something. Lil Melania, Gia said, Mama finna come back in 30 minutes. Why you not up? She's like, oh my God, I just went to bed because I had to go to sleep. Do you know how late I was up? I said, what the fuck? Hold up. They talk to each other like this shit. I'm sitting here like, that little girl. And then she was like, give me 5 minutes. I said, is this a 16-year-old or a 9-year-old? I don't know how old she is. 9 years old, something like that, 8 or 9-year-old. Who the fuck is this child? Because she said, just give me 5 more minutes. Jill was like, you're going to be pissed off that your fat ass is still up in the bed and stuff like this. And then, Gia cursing and shit. I seen the preview, and she was talking to Teresa, and she was like, they need to go ahead and get his shit together. I said, what? They just let her say shit like that, bitch. I'm grown as hell. I still can't curse in front of my parents, okay? In front of my mom, all right? My mom would knock my teeth into my mouth, okay? Listen, come on now. But hey, everyone's different, and Teresa finally came home, and she saw Joe first, and it was cute. Then, child, I was like, she saw the little doggy first, and she was like, oh my God, hey. Then she seen Joe, and I was just like, oh no, okay, this is nice. You're not gonna get me tonight. You're not gonna get me. Then them little girls pulled up, and I said, oh shit, no, you're not. I'm sitting here like, you're not finna get me. You're not finna get me. Gia popped up, and she was already crying, and I said, bitch, goddamn, where my tissue at? Don't cry. Whoop! There go the tears. I'm sitting here like, child, you fucked up, but you can't help but cry or feel, not necessarily cry, but feel something, because that was a touching ass scene. That was a touching scene. If you ain't feel nothing, I don't know what's wrong with you. But that's a mind fuck, though. It has to be, to know that you home, and you gonna be home by the time you fully get settled. It's probably gonna be like a month or two in, and then the next month, your husband gotta go for like 3 years or something. That's crazy. But hey, you do the crime, you gotta suffer the time. So that was basically it. It was cute to see them all together, and they was happy, and Teresa's back, and child, Teresa ain't even been home this season. She gonna get her ass into some shit. Let me tell you something. Teresa, some of the seasons, Teresa has always been my favorite, alright, but I can call her out on her bullshit, because some of these seasons she was on some bullshit. But she was my favorite ever since she was like on the season 1, I think it was, when she flipped that table, when she called Danielle, you prostitution whore. That shit was fucking everything. I said, where they do that at? Where they do that at? Apparently up in New Jersey, bitch. But y'all, this season look like it's gonna be good. Hopefully, it's gonna be some drama, and I will see you guys later tomorrow, and have a good night. Peace.